Could you imagine? If I get sued by Rihanna, that would be the greatest day of my life. So today we are going to be making the Fenty Durag. I know it doesn't look like much here, but if you watched my Fenty haul, then you will see the Durag on my actual head. I am going to make a similar Durag because everybody said that it was too expensive, and I totally agree. So let's just make our own. So the first thing you're going to need is some sort of paper. You can use tracing paper, newspaper, anything really that you can lay out your Durag on to trace it to form a pattern. I am using something that I got at Staples. This is mailing paper, and I believe it was pretty cheap for the roll. I think I paid about $7 or $8 for it. Don't quote me on that. All you're gonna need is this, a pencil, lace fabric, and a Durag. Of course, you don't have to use the Rihanna Durag to trace. You can trace a $1.99 Durag from the beauty supply warehouse, the gas station, anywhere you can find a Durag. So, the Durag, you can obviously use any color, but I am going to use a color similar to the one that I have. If you are making the Fenty Durag and not just a regular Durag, you will need some iron-on applique. So I got a 1 and oh, the 3 done bounced out. I got a 1 and a 3, and I also got some pink fabric dye. It's permanent dye, and I will be using it to dye the letters on the lace. So you will also need, of course, a pencil, a Sharpie. Sharpie's optional, but I prefer to have solid lines when I'm cutting out. Scissors, and of course the E6000, because the edges of the original Durag are actually something that is called serged. So as you can see, that is serge stitched, and I presume if you're making this, you probably don't know how to sew, or you don't have a serger, unless you're just lucky and you do have a serger. I have one here, but I am just going to glue the edges down because that'll be the easiest thing to do. As you can see, the 13 on the Durag are really, really big, whereas my 13 is really small. That's because this is really stitched onto the Durag. We are going to iron on ours, and we're not making them, so let's get started. You want to put your Durag inside out, whether it's this one or one from a different store. So as you see, I've laid my Durag down onto the paper, and I've laid it edge to edge. So the edge of the paper is where the edge of the Durag is, and the Durag is inside out. That's why you can see the tag there. All you want to do is trace around the Durag, and then you're going to trace around it a second time, but the second time you trace around it is for giving you the seam allowance if you are finishing the edges. If you're not going to finish the edges, then you can just leave it alone. You actually don't need to trace over it a second time. You can just do it the first time. Just trace it larger than it actually is. Don't trace it right on it. Trace it larger than it actually is if you want to put seam allowance. Okay, so that does not look anything like a Durag, but don't worry, it will. Basically, what this is half of your Durag. So when you place it down on your fabric, you're gonna have your fabric folded, so you're cutting out 2 pieces that you are going to mend together. Once you have your pattern, you're going to cut it out. So now we have a very ugly pattern. We are gonna turn it into something marvelous. Okay, so sometimes with lace there is a right side and a wrong side, and the right side is actually the side that you can see the stitching more detailed. This side is relatively flat and it just looks like tablecloth. And then on this, oh, my hair is in the lens. And then on this side, I don't know if my camera is gonna pick up on it, but there's more detailing. So you want to make sure that the right side of the fabric is folded together. So the side with this detailing right here, you see how it's raised? You want that to be folded inside. As you guys can see right now, she is laying the Durag on the fabric, but instead of folding, sorry, the pattern. Instead of folding the fabric in half to use it, we want to use it sparingly so that we can make more than one. So we are going to fold the fabric maybe a third, and then we're going to pin the paper down on the fabric. If you're more advanced, you don't really need to pin the paper, but I'm going to pin it just so that you guys can see. It's easier if you have it steady, and then we're going to proceed to cut it out. As you see, my mom's taken over the DIY, so she is now pinning down the pattern. Oh Lord, you guys are making my DIY ratchet as hell. She's pinning the pattern onto the fabric so that it makes it easy to cut out, sorry guys. You don't need a lot of pins. Pins you can get at the dollar store as well. Everything except for the fabric can be purchased at the dollar store.
I hate dollar store pins.
Everything except for the fabric and the fabric glue. You have to get that at the actual fabric store, the craft store. What did you say, Mom?
I hate dollar store pins. They're never sharp enough. Oh, they're reject pins.
This is not a dollar store pin though, just to clarify that, you guys. My mom's clearly bougie as hell, but she doesn't like dollar store pins.
Make sure that the pattern is flat. If it's rumpled up like that, you can, I was going to say common sense would tell you you're not going to get a smooth. It has to be flat.
So my mom is actually going to cut the pattern out. The plus side to lace is that it doesn't really fray. And even if you find that it is fraying, there is something that you can purchase, a liquid that you can purchase to help stop the fraying. This is the stuff to stop the fraying. It is called Free Check. I'm sure there's lots of different brands, but this is the one that I have.
Some of you church ladies can also line this. Line this if you wish and wear it to church.
Why are you laughing, Mom?
I remember making those.
What are they called? Doilies. Yeah.
Yeah, for you guys, because you didn't. You were so
I never wore them.
Hats.
No, I didn't wear the doily.
My sisters did.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we folded the fabric, in order to get the two side panels, you're gonna have to cut up the center to get that. So I'm going to move my pins over a little bit so I have access to cut up the center. Because the pins are still there, it's not going over the place. If you didn't keep it pinned, just move the pins over.
So I actually bought 1.5 meters of fabric. You do not need that much, clearly. You can do this off of half a meter. Yeah. It's always good to have extra fabric just in case you do mess up. But if you're doing the pattern based off of another pattern, or if you're making your own pattern, it's generally really easy to do.
Voila. So this is theirs. And that's yours undone.
Okay. I'm gonna have to sell these on AliExpress, you guys. This is too funny. That's the Fenty Durag. So that's the shape of it. Remember, because her edges are finished, that's why it looks the way it does. It looks a little bit more put together. This one we haven't even started yet. So just wanted to show you guys side-by-side comparison of the shape. This does have a little bit more of a nice curve. We're going to fix this up. You can modify your pattern however you see fit.
So the trickiest part of this is going to be this curve here. So this is the tie back, I suppose we'll call it that. You want to finish the edges in here. We're going to glue. So what you want to do is, again, make sure that you're keeping the right side of your fabric straight. Turn it under just a little and press iron it so that your line is there for you when you go to glue and you don't have too much trouble.
I'm gonna iron it, Mom, because I don't want to.
When you get to the curved edge here, you will find that just a tiny bit of a turn will do.
Make sure if you guys are young, you're not using the iron without parental supervision, because I don't want nobody, parents commenting on my thing talking about their kid bun up themselves with the iron. Did you get permission to use the iron, Mom?
Yes, from Bougie.
She doesn't say my name right, Bougie. So Jamaican. So you're just gonna keep doing this until all your sides are pressed in to where you can glue them down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop filming this because it's pretty redundant. I mean, you should have got the hang of it by now.
Unless you wear a dunce cap.
I can't stand her. And so yeah, you're just gonna keep folding it in. Once you're done that, then you can glue it together. Okay, so for this next part, you're gonna wanna use some sort of fabric adhesive. I am using this industrial strength adhesive. It is called E6000. In my last video, somebody did inform me in the comments that it is very dangerous. So please get some parental supervision if you are needing it, if you are underage and cannot handle stuff like this, because you should not get it in contact with your skin or anything. I've actually laid out paper underneath the do-rag because this stuff is really strong, and so I don't want to stick it on my floor or anything like that. You want to avoid that at all costs. Very careful when you're using the glue. If you want to be extremely safe, I do suggest you use gloves with the adhesive.
Oh, good.
Chopstick?
Yeah, this is perfect actually.
So with the glue, you want to just press out a little bit onto your paper, whatever surface you're working on, and use a stick of some sort to apply it. That's what we're using. We're using a chopstick. It is a DIY, so use anything you can find that you don't necessarily need afterwards. This is a disposable chopstick from a sushi place. So she's just using the chopstick to apply the glue to the seam. So the place that you fold it over and iron down is where you want to glue shut, just to seal the edges.
Yeah.
It does need to sit for, I believe, 24 hours.
And see how I'm using the other edge of the stick to sort of roll it along.
Down, yeah.
So it doesn't get on my finger.
You may be tempted to use your fingers, you guys.
Yeah.
So I do suggest gloves if you are not experienced with using stuff like this. The alternative could be a glue gun, which is very safe, just hot and dangerous that way, but it's not like toxic. Also with the E6000, make sure your area is well ventilated.
I
wish you guys could see this lady. She's too much. But yeah, you definitely need a well ventilated area for this glue.
Yeah, and just wipe the glue along the edge. Again, you push up the press down seam so you can get under it all the way.
So you just want to repeat this exact same process on both sides of your cutout, and then I will show you how to glue it together. So now that both pieces have been glued as on the hemline,
in the corner here, because you can't do a really deep turn, we're suggesting or recommending that you use the no fray and just tap it around the edge so that that stays in place and it doesn't fray too much.
So this is the outside of the do-rag, and then you're going to lay the second piece of it.
Right sides together.
Yes, you're going to lay the second piece over top.
So two right sides together, and then we're going to glue around
the edges
to make it the do-rag complete. So I'm going to go ahead and dab some glue along the outside edge, as close to the edge as possible, and only one side. You don't need to do both sides. Whoops. So right along the edge of the one piece, and then basically what you're going to do is take the other piece, press it into it. Use, again, don't use your fingers because it's quite sticky.
Make sure it's lined right up. For this DIY, because it is a video, we're not going to wait the full 24 hours before this glue dries for the first seam. We're just going to keep checking. Yeah, we're just going to keep checking to see how hard the glue is. And then once we feel that it's dry enough, then we're gonna we're gonna do the next step.
Yeah. So this is dry enough now where we can finally finish this whole seam.
We only waited about 45 minutes, I would say. Yeah. We didn't wait too long. I think because it's fabric, it's not taking long to dry.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press this seam. So right now I'm working with the wrong side, as you can see, because there's the seam there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull and press to open up the seam. Okay. And then once you have done that all the way up, you're going to start gluing again. The purpose of gluing this time is just to hold the seam in place so it doesn't stand up like this. So on one side, and it doesn't really matter which side you want to turn your seam, just dab along again the edge with the glue. And once you've dabbed your seam, just fold it over to one side as you're pulling, just to make sure again that your seam is nice and flat.
When you're doing this, you may want to do this part until it gets to the part where it curves on your head, and then let it sit and dry.
True.
And then when you once it dries in another like 30 minutes, then you can come back in and do the rest of it, because it is a little difficult in trying.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this next part, we are going to be dyeing our applique. I was actually going to use fabric dye, but I changed my mind because of the process of using fabric dye. So instead, I am just going to use my Angelus Direct paint. If you guys watched my shoe customization video, then you know all about Angelus Direct. You're gonna need an empty container to mix your paint in.
What are you painting with?
Dyeing, I'm dyeing something. Now remember, the number part of this is really quite optional. Once you do the do-rag, you don't have to add the numbers to it. I'm just adding the 13 because I wanted to do the Fenty do-rag in particular. So you're going to need your paint, and you're also going to need the GAC 900, a fabric paint medium. So basically it's 1-to-1 ratio. I'm gonna put a cap of pink, 1 cap of the pink paint, 1 cap of this, and that will make my dye. You need this so that the letters don't become, or the numbers, sorry, don't become stiff. So once I've mixed up the paint with the GAC 900, I can just apply it directly to this and it will change it pink. And it should dry fairly quickly because it's just thread. So you just want to saturate the entire letter. You pretty much only need 1 coat of this. You don't need to do multiple coats. You let it sit there and you dry, and once it's dried, you can move on to ironing it onto the do-rag. You can just blow dry it if you're trying to speed the process up.
The sticky thing on the
Will
back,
it?
probably. I don't know.
But the instructions are on the back of every single applique has instructions on the back. So I'm not even going to show you guys the iron-on process because I don't think I need to. I just let these sit there. Once these have dried, we will iron them on and show you the finished product. As you can see, this is the, I'm not going to call it a replica, but this is the DIY. You're going to see a major difference in size with the 13, obviously, because this was done with an embroidery machine. There are obviously alternatives into making the numbers yourself if you want to do that, but I just bought iron-on applique and it's relatively small compared to that one. I'm going to try them on for you so you can see. Alright, so right now I have on my original Fenty do-rag. This is the original one. I will show you guys the back. So this is what it looks like. You guys can get a close-up too. And now I'm going to show you the DIY. Can you spot the difference, child? I don't think you can. Other than when I turn around and you see the numbers here, the 13. But you can always do this without the numbers if you just need like a head tie or a do-rag, and you wanted to make it out of lace because you wanted it to be girly instead of a regular do-rag that you would buy at the beauty supply store, then this is your option right here. It's easy to do, it's quick, and it looks cute. Duh. So I wanted to do this because I know a lot of people were like up in arms about the price, myself included, of the Fenty do-rag, and so I just wanted to do a DIY to show you guys that you guys can achieve the look without breaking the mother effing bank, because 65 Canadian dollars for a piece of lace is ridiculous, okay? And I know this and I've admitted to this, but I wanted it, so I bought it. Yeah, so now you can have it too at budget price, child. Can you dig it? Because I can. And you could tie this up, but I like to wear mine like this. It looks like I'm wearing a hood of some sort, so I like to wear mine just like this. And that's basically it. So give this video a thumbs up if you liked the DIY. I will be doing a lot more DIYs. I have so many planned and I'm super excited to keep doing DIYs. I want to ease into them and yeah, just kind of change my channel up a little bit. So I hope you guys are here for it. And yeah, I love you all and I will definitely see you in the next one.